Hi everybody, it is the 3rd of May 2022 and update 17.2 has just dropped on the PC test servers, so I thought we would go through the patch notes and see what is coming to the PC public servers and the console servers before too long. So let's have a quick look. So the updates that we're getting in 17.2 are going to be coming to console round about between the May the 18th and May the 19th, depending on your time zone in the world, and coming to PC on May the 11th. But you can try them out if you update your public test server on PC. Now, no news about whether they're coming to the console test server. It's almost like PUBG have abandoned the console test server now. We don't really see much on it at all. So let's see what we can get. So first thing, there's going to be some big changes to the spotter scope tactical gear. So let's read through, because this is it's a little bit complicated to say the least. The previous patch notes hinted at some big and small changes were soon to come to the spotter scope. The spotter scope and its automatic features of marking and following enemies continue to show overly strong performance, causing more stress than enjoyable experiences to our players. I don't think so, but you don't know if you've been spotted, do you? Therefore, starting from this update, you should now be able to meet the following healthier changes. The enemy detection range has been changed from 1000 meters to 600 meters. Good. The white passive marker will not appear automatically in ADS mode. It now requires you to hold the fire key to begin scanning for enemies. Once the scan begins, a meter will appear on the screen and start to fill up. It will take up to a second for the scan meter to fill up completely. Exiting ADS mode during a scan will cancel the scanning process altogether and require you to start again from the beginning. Once the scan meter is full, passive markers will then appear on enemies within the spotter scope field of view. So you'll aim down sight, so that will equip the spotter scope. You press the fire key, and then it will take a second to scan where you're looking at, and then you'll get the white markers will then appear on the people who are in the field of view. However, enemies who enter the spotter scope's field of view after a scan is complete will not be marked. So I guess if you can't just scan around like you could do, couldn't you? You used to be able to just spin around with the spotter scope and scan everybody. Passive markers will also appear on enemies hiding within smoke. Okay. You may initiate and complete as many scans as you like in ADS mode, but a new scan cannot begin while a scan is already in progress. So you aim down sight, you pull the trigger, and then after a second or so you'll get your passives. When you complete a new scan, the previous set of passive markers is overwritten with a new one. There is no time limit to the duration of passive markers, and they will continue to mark enemies even when enemies hide in smoke or foliage. But passive markers will disappear when marked enemies hide behind solid cover such as trees or buildings, or when they exit the spotter scope's field of view, or if you stop using the spotter scope. Fair enough. You can also tap the fire key instead of holding it to perform a different function. Tapping the fire button when passive marked enemies are within your field of view and positioned in the center rectangle of the spotter scope will change passive markers to red active markers. The red active marker now marks enemies individually for 3 seconds. After 3 seconds, the active markers will turn back to passive ones if the enemies are still within the spotter scope's field of view. Otherwise, the marks will completely vanish altogether. If you tap the fire key when you've already changed passive markers to active, you can extend the duration of your existing active markers. Active markers will disappear as soon as enemies are out of sight. This includes when they hide behind cover. If you are marked with an active marker by an enemy, you will receive a warning message on your screen. Okay, even if passive marked enemies are inside smoke, you can convert their passive markers to active ones. Okay, so what you're doing now is you're putting the person who you want to tag in the middle of the scope, inside that rectangle, and then you're tapping the trigger button, and that will tell them that will then convert them from a white marker to a red one. And when they're red, that means all your teammates can see them as well on the thing. And then you'll get a warning if you're the person who's been spotted. Now, to be honest, I'm not completely happy with this, because I don't think you should get a warning that you're being spotted. You know, it's not something that we've had in PUBG. There's not even scope glint. You know, if a sniper's aiming at you in other games like Call of Duty or Battlefield, you would get the scope glint when they look at you. We don't get that. And so what this is doing by warning people that they've been spotted is then telling them that you're there. You know, which I don't think PUBG is about that. You know, PUBG isn't about UAVs. PUBG isn't about heartbeat sense and that sort of thing. And this is it's giving you a way of telling you that an enemy's looking at you, which I don't think is there. I think the way the spotting scope worked was kind of okay. However, the problem with it was just too overpowered. What they needed to do, in my opinion, was instead of making it more complicated like this, they should have just slowed it down, so that if you had the spotting scope equipped, it would work the way that it did do, but you had to move it very, very slowly, you know. And if you moved the scope too fast, all the markers should have disappeared. It should have been, you can look through, but you can only sort of pan around very, very slowly. Because this is quite complicated, isn't it? So you aim down sight, you pull the trigger, it scans. I mean, I understand why they've done it, because it was just too powerful. Weapon balance. 5.56 designated marksman's rifles. According to the stats, the usage rate of the two weapons using 5.56mm was far below our expectations. However, we hope the following minor changes make them more appealing and used more frequently. Moreover, we have changed the position of the Mark 12 as a high-end DMR. The Mark 12. Since the damage-related update, players still found it challenging to handle. Therefore, we improved the recoil recovery value to ensure stability like the Mini 14. So it's increased recoil recovery on the Mark 12 or the MK12, rebalance the recoil-related speed. Now, I highly recommend you choose the Mark 12 and try it out. It is very, very powerful. Very, very impressive. It's up there, I think, with the SKS and the SLR. Mini 14. The Mini 14 continues to show steady selection rate due to its distinct traits, therefore its damage has been slightly improved. So 47 to 48, so may well be worth, so it's still 3 shots, isn't it, to kill someone unless you hit them in the head. But yeah, definitely the Mark 12, very impressed when I've used it. The Mortar. We've constantly listened to your feedback since the Mortar was introduced as a Tego only weapon. Unfortunately, contrary to our expectations, the Mortar definitely wasn't one of the most favoured weapons. It didn't take us long to figure out the reason. It was too complicated to use. When deploying it on the surface, it had many limitations, aiming was too complicated, and even the ammo was hard to find. It doesn't end there. It occupies one main weapon slot, which many players found not to be worth it. However, we are still seeing a lot of feedback about how attractive a weapon the Mortar is. In this iteration of the Mortar, we applied the following changes to unlock its hidden potential. It can now be deployed on any terrain except when the deploy angle is not secured or on water, including small puddles. Asphalt, concrete, iron, glass, sand, snow, ice and rock, etc. It's now going to be available in normal matches on Erangel, Miramar, Sanhok, Vikendi, Karakin, Paramo and Tego. Due to its distinct map characteristics, the Mortar is not available on Haven. Now the Mortar takes up the inventory slot and the weight is set to 50, so you can have it as well as 2 weapons by the sound of it. It can be picked up and stored in the inventory again after use. Picking the Mortar up with the primary weapon in hand will automatically have you swap to the Mortar. Picking the Mortar up with bare hands, 2 primary weapons are holstered, will place the Mortar in the inventory. Swapping a primary weapon out with the Mortar in the inventory will have you drop the primary weapon. Picking up the Mortar when the player is not equipped with any weapons will place the Mortar to your first primary weapon slot. Ammo weight is lowered to 20 in lieu of the previous 30. Ammo spawns a stack of 3 to 5 in lieu of the previous 1 to 3. Wow, that's complicated. I mean, in my opinion, just take it out. Take it out. You know, it's too complicated. It should always be a second. It should always take up a primary weapon slot. It should be seen in the same eyes as like the spotter scope and the tactical gear and the medic gear. You know, that's, you know, and the Panzerfaust, that sort of thing. You know, if you're in a squad game, you could have a Mortar guy. You know, he's got the Mortar. He's got some. You know, everybody drops him the Mortar rounds that they've got, and then he sits behind a rock and he fires his Mortar into that, you know, compound that the other team's, you know, holding on to, that's in the circle and you need to take. Yeah, and in fact, probably one of the things they should introduce is smoke rounds for the Mortar. In fact, maybe the mortar should only have smoke rounds, so you use it as a means of crossing open ground, because it really kicks out lots of smoke. But yeah, I don't think I've ever used. I might have used it once, I think. Map service. We are currently preparing a more flexible system for our map services. With that being said, a separate map service plan announcement will not be released, as we believe it's a bit too early to announce upcoming plans. However, we will continue to announce the map service updates for the current patch through the patch notes. So now we get Erangel, Miramar, Tago, Sanhok, and Vikendi. The map rotation for normal matches will pluck out Haven and plant Vikendi. But see, how about just pluck out Sanhok? I think that would be a really strong lineup. Erangel, Miramar, Tago, Vikendi. Yeah. In fact, I have the volcano one, which I can't remember. What's that called? No, Karakin is the small one, isn't it? I can't remember what the name of the volcano one is. Have the volcano one. That's really cool. Okay, B-Duck collaboration. Dive into the lake located in the middle island of Sanhok and meet the giant floating rubber duck bobbing in the calm waters. Must be some Korean thing. Nothing will happen even if you attack the duck. Weather. The colours of the weather and terrain and texture in Miramar have been adjusted to reduce the map's glaring yellow shade. Great. Adjusted colour of certain weathers for Paramo. There we go. Paramo is not even in rotation. That's the one with the volcano, isn't it? Haven and Karakin, as well as to represent a more realistic atmosphere. So Paramo and Haven aren't in rotation, but they've had adjustments. So there's a new 1v1 arena in the training mode. Additional constructions have been made to training mode to welcome all types of combat practice in a suspenseful 1v1 setting. Either go through the 1v1 round with a real player or spectate intense Predators fights in the new 1v1 arena. So you can read how to do that. There you go, basic rules. While waiting for your turn to enter a 1v1 match, you will not be able to enter other training areas such as the aim or sound lab, private indoor target practice or jump school. Attempt to do so will cause a message to pop up asking if you'd like to cancel your 1v1 matchmaking. However, you can enter a 1v1 match while you're searching for a ranked match. Oh, that's good. But keep in mind you'll be forced to quit from a 1v1 match once your ranked matchmaking is complete. You and your opponent will play 3 rounds. The first player to win the first 2 will win. There is a time limit of 60 seconds per round. If a player dies within the 60-second limit, the round will immediately end. If both players die at the same time, or if no one dies within the time limit, the round will end as a tie. Once you spawn on the fighting grounds, you cannot move or receive any damage for 3 seconds. Your hit points will be set to 200. You and your opponent will spawn on each side of the arena and switch sides every round. The results will turn out as the following if your opponent quits during the round. Blah, 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 blah. Basic equipment, level 3 vest, level 3 helmet, level 3 backpack. Weapons, 2 primary weapons and 1 secondary weapon. The weapons you're holding before you enter the match, you cannot change them after entering the arena. Other items such as ammo, heal items and or tactical gear will disappear from your inventory once you enter the arena. Ammo, 2 stacks for each held weapon. If you're not holding any weapons, or if you only have throwables or melee weapons in hand, the default weapons will be the 416 and the SKS, the pan, the grenade, the handgun, the P18C. State of your ammo armor will reset each round. After a 1v1 match, the results screen will pop up displaying the final results along with the results of each round. Yeah, great. So we can now teleport round the map in the training area. There's new categories in the AIM Sound Lab score system. You can now do a training mode custom match. So you can all jump in with your mates. There's new tutorial missions. Equip a skin set. Wonder why they've added that. There's a tutorial for adding friends. Okay, very good. New Galaxy Squad Survivor Pass. Interesting. I have to check that out, see what it's like. This is an interesting one. There's now going to be a timer on the throwables. So when you pull the pin out, you're going to get this timer telling you when it's going to explode to help you. So 1, 2, 3, I guess they're seconds roughly, aren't they? This is to help people, especially newer players, with the timing of their grenades so that you don't throw it, you don't pull the pin and throw it too early so that it bounces away from your enemy, or you don't throw it too late and it explodes near you and kills you or damages you. Not sure. Again, I don't think this is something I really like. I don't think you need it. They're saying it's because it's helpful for newer players. We'll have to see. We'll have to see. Loot recommendation. Now, this is good for newer players, and you can turn this off because it is very confusing when you first start off in PUBG and you're running around and you'll see a helmet and you think, is that better than the one I've got? Well, with the new loot recommendation thing, it'll tell you whether the gear that you see is better than what you've got on, and it'll also tell you whether the ammo and the attachments that you see are suitable for the weapon you're holding. Very, very good for new players. They're going to turn this on as standard. Obviously, other players, like you're listening to this video, you've probably been playing PUBG for a long, long time. You can turn it off in the settings. So, and all I can say as well is just thank your lucky stars to new players. You didn't play PUBG at the beginning when there was clothing hanging around as well. You had to hunt underneath coats to see the ammo as well. You can now use items in the driver's seat, but it's limited to bandages, energy drinks, painkillers, and adrenaline syringes. You can't use first aid kits and med kits. So that's good. And there's some UI and UX changes. So an interesting update. I guess the main things are Vikendi is back, and the nerf to the spotter scope. We'll have to see. I mean, the main thing, the gameplay in PUBG is really good, isn't it, at the moment? The game runs smooth, feels great. There's lots of people playing it and you can get matches really quick. I think what we really want now is I think that they need to really concentrate on just polishing that gameplay experience, making the lobby wait much faster. So there should be less time within games. You know when you're waiting in a lobby and it's slowly ticking up to 100 players, and then it gets to like 100 players, and then you've still got to wait like a minute and a half of the game to start. It should be no. Soon it goes to the 100 players, that should be it. You should be in the aeroplane flying, or as soon as it gets to 80 players, then you should get the minute and a half countdown, and then you should go. But apart from that, I'm loving PUBG. Think it's great. Strength to strength. Let's just have some really solid gameplay back decisions, PUBG Corp, so we can take PUBG into the second half of 2022 and obviously 2023. Anyway, what do you think? Put your questions and comments down below. If you like the video, hit like. If you want to see more of the same, press subscribe, and I will of course see you again soon.